So, dear students, let us start the discussion on 11th November 2016 newspapers of Live Mint and Indian Express. So, in this context, the first article is related to the black money and the high denomination currencies in Indian economy. Now, high denomination currencies, these were demonetized two times before 2016, that is in 1946, then in 1978, now it is in 2016. In 1946, it was to fight the hyperinflation and also windfall profits gained by certain enterprises after the World War II scenario. And in 1978, again, it was to curb the inflation and also to curb the black money. The stated objective was very clear at that point of time. And even in 2016, the stated objective is the same, that is to curb the black money. At every time, if you see that the black money has resurfaced, what might be the reason? Because the source of the black money is not curtailed. So, in this case, if the black money has to be curbed, the tax exemptions which are provided to the people have to be minimized. The agricultural income is not taxed in India, and it is the major source of directing the unaccounted money into the system. And the second is, as high currency denominations are being demonetized, the money is expected to move into gold, diamonds, and high net worth metals, high worthy metals. And the third thing, the customer demand is expected to come down for a while. So it will adversely affect the economy, especially the revenues of the government, because the registrations of vehicles and land are expected to come down, and it will reduce the revenues of the states in the short term. And finally, if you talk about a cashless economy, that is still a distant dream for India. So unless we bring in or mature this unified paying systems and incentivize the people to use cards and to provide for the financial inclusion, we cannot achieve a complete cashless economy. So, in this context, the author argues that yes, demonetization to an extent help in curbing the black money, but it will not totally eliminate the black money from the economy. So, if you take Hindu, Mr. Balakrishna Pillai article, what it clearly has stated is this: it is not about curbing the existing money, but curbing the generation of the black money in the future. That is what is going to be the real task. Because the black money has a self-generating capacity. It means that the black money, if it invested as a capital, nurtures the black money further. So in that case, as we are killing the black money now, as we are taking the black money into the banking system now, obviously the availability of the black money will be decreased for a while. To that extent, the organization and firms and their working will get streamlined. So whatever be the case, there is a long way for India to go towards the cashless economy. In Trump's world, now you know that the Donald John Trump, he got elected as the America's 45th president, and it was worrisome to the world because of his divisive policies. Remember this: making the divisions is easy, but building the bridges is the most difficult part. With regard to the Trump, Islamophobia, and then check again is the immigration, protectionist policies, and misogynist acts. These are being surfaced from time to time with regard to his election speeches. And second is, he is also not consistent with regard to his foreign policy choices. So then, how his actions are going to be in the future? Essentially, governance is a continuum. But Mr. Trump has clearly stated he will do everything to undo the Obama's legacy. The Paris climate change, Iran nuclear deal, everything will be undone so that the Obama's legacy will not be left. So doing away with the Obama's legacy, according to him, is making the America great again. So in this context, the Obama's major policy was Asia pivot. What is this Asia pivot? Strategically, it is developing a counterbalance to China in Asia. So in this, USA's master plan is to bring a parallel between China and India to hyphenate them with each other. And added to that, to build a counterbalance to China and to confine the China to Asia. So what it did is the South China Sea, it was very vocal, and added to that, it wants to build a grand alliance between India, Japan, Australia, with the US, a democratic alliance against the communist China. But however, the present president elect, he clearly stated that he was not interested in making America do behave or to involve with various conflicts. And second thing is, he wants his American allies to pay for their security. Now, the allies are Japan, South Korea in Asia. So it means these countries are now expected to pay to United States for their security. So obviously it's going to change the security and defense landscape in Asian subcontinent. So in this context, what India shall do? It is better India has to build and close partnership with existing like-minded democracies in Asia. So Japan can be a close associate for India. So India has to develop or begin a conversation with Shinzo Abe in construction of new Asia geopolitical regime that can balance the China. So the present visit of Prime Minister Modi can be a strong impetus for the same. Now the next article is related to Marrakesh Challenge. So the COP, Conference of Parties, is going to held at Marrakesh. This is 22nd Conference of Parties and it's held at Morocco. Now in this case, the major agenda on the item is to prepare a deadline for the Paris Conference outcomes. So in the Paris Conference, it is agreed that the 2 degrees Celsius shall be the goal at which the rise in temperature has to be limited. So in this context, the Kyoto Protocol was based, or UN Framework Convention on Climate Change was based on common but differentiated responsibilities. Now, how the equity concerns have to be addressed? It is not been addressed by the Paris climate change. Understand? Previously, it was common but differentiated responsibilities. So, all the countries shall have a common goal, but the responsibility of the developed and developing countries has to differ based on their contributions to the climate change. So, the polluter shall pay was the principle. But however, there is a departure in implementation at the Paris climate. But in the text, yes, they are upholding the common but differentiated responsibilities. But in reality, there is a departure from the same. So the equity concerns, they shall be addressed only through the technological and financial transfers. But however, the technological transfers, if you observe, in 2009 at Copenhagen, it was agreed that by 2020, $100 billion has to be transferred for the developing countries for their fight against the climate change. But we not even 1/3 of that money is being transferred till date. And the technology transfer, intellectual property rights are a major hindrance. So, with regard to the developing countries, developed countries shall give a hand and uplift for their mitigation and adaptation process. Then only the fight against the climate change will be effective. So, as the President Trump has come to power, obviously he is not very inclined towards the Paris climate change. And where he called the climate change discussion itself as a hoax. Let us see what is the way forward for the same. Next is statues of liberty. Now, the conservatism is growing in the United States, and election of the President Trump is a reflection of this. But however, at the same time, there is a progressive change that is sweeping across US. Now, the recreational marijuana and its consumption is made legal in US now. The next one is gay rights were recognized. And the third thing is harsh punishments, especially to the terrorists such as waterboarding, etc., are being banned. All these are the progressive choices towards the pro-America. Now let's see the next. So in this explained page, Sutlej Yamuna Link Canal, let us see this problem. So you all know that Punjab was reorganized in 1966. Now when India became independence, in 1955, there was division of water between Punjab, then Rajasthan, Punjab, and then Rajasthan, and added to an extent in Jammu and Kashmir. So this was the division of water between three states. Now in 1966, the Punjab was divided into Punjab and Haryana. It means whatever the proceeds allocated in 1955 to Punjab that need to be shared between Punjab and Haryana. So Punjab did not agree for the same. It was not willing to share the waters with Haryana. And in 1971, Indira Gandhi has mediated a tripartite agreement between Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan. So then also the Punjab did not agree, and still the stalemate existed. In 1985, there came the Punjab Accord. So, as per this 1971 agreement, Satluj Yamuna link canal has to be built connecting the Satluj and Beas waters to the Yamuna waters for the use of Haryana. But this link canal has to move from the Punjab and to the Haryana, and it is of 214 kilometers in length, where more than 120 kilometers it is in Punjab and around 92 kilometers in Haryana. So, in this scenario, what was happened is the Punjab was not taking forward its side of construction. So Haryana went to Supreme Court for directing the Punjab to finish the construction of the canal on its side. Now in 2004, Punjab, in a rare move, it has passed a law in its legislature stating that all the river agreements of Punjab will be annulled. It means whatever the agreement received or reached in 1971 stands annulled as per the law of Punjab. In this case, it was reserved by the governor for the consideration of the president. President, under his power of advisory jurisdiction, he asked this to the Supreme Court under Article 143 of the Constitution. And the Supreme Court has said that it is in excess of authority of the legislature. So the legislature has overridden the judgment of the Supreme Court, which was unwarranted. And the second thing is, it is also violation of the Interstate River Waters Dispute Act 1956. That's what is the Supreme Court has stated now. In a rare move, the Punjab also in 2016, the Akali Dal government has passed another law which is about the transfer of the rights over the land which is acquired for this canal to the original owners. So it means they tried to complicate the problem further. And this bill is also reserved by the governor for the consideration of the president. So whatever been done. So if you understand interstate river water disputes, they are questioning something called our federal fabric. We need to have a common framework. And the center has to play a stronger role in addressing the interstate river water disputes. And the second thing is, the judicial orders, if they are ignored by the states, what it can create a constitutional crisis. What is the way out in this situation? And the third thing is, the politics shall not interfere with the technicalities of the subject such as interstate river water sharing. When more and more the issues are getting politicized, then there is a good chance that the emotional issues can take the political colors and it may complicate the situation further. Either it is the Kaveri river or it is in the case of this Satluj Yamuna link canal. Now let's get into this particular globalization, its political backlash. Now, the victory of the Trump, is it an untoward effect of the politicization or untoward effect of the globalization? Now, in globalization, economies got integrated. The politics are still domestic. It means that the global integration of economy and the domestic politics, they have to match to each other. But there is a huge mismatch between the same. Among the people, there is a sense of loss of power. And the democratic choices of the people are getting limited. So let me explain this point. In the era of globalization, the democratic choices to the people are getting limited. So, in post-Second World War scenario, many of the countries across the world became the social democracies. Now, how this social democracy has come into existence? In the 19th century in Europe, it has come again as the growth of the capitalism. And next is the social democracy has come into existence to provide for a balance between the needs of the people and distribution of the wealth within the society. Once the globalization has started, the social democracy was dumped in favor of neoliberal market principles. So, either whatever the government comes up, these policies essentially have become continuum. So that's why the democratic choices have decreased in the era of globalization. And the second thing is, the accountability got shift upwards. What does that mean? Now, previously, the governments were accountable to the people, but the supranational institutions has gained the dominance over the local governments. In this context, the people felt that their governments are losing the power, and it is more someone sitting who is not having a clear idea about the domestic constituency are making the decisions. So there is a sense of loss of power among them and also among the leaders. And the third thing is, inequalities have risen during globalization. So there is wealth created in the globalization, but the people who got benefited are the asset owners, the skilled employees. But on the other hand, wage seekers, especially the working class, their conditions have dwindled. In the developing countries, if you observe, middle class has grew up. Along with the middle class, their aspirations also grew up. And the staring inequalities have given rise to an anti-establishment mentality. Now, in this situation, how the politics have reacted to this economic change? Across the world, people are looking for an political party or a leader who is anti-establishment. Now, Hillary Clinton is more seen as a person from the establishment. Mr. Trump was seen as a person against the establishment. So that's why there was a lot of favoritism towards the Trump and his election or his victory in this particular election. Either you see the Brexit, the growth of the right wing, extreme right wing in France, Marine Le Pen, and if you see the victory of the Trump, they send a common message to us all. That is, people want decisiveness. People want to break whatever the establishment has created for now. Now, in these circumstances, how the right wing leaders will bring in the change is a $1,000,000 question. And is this sounds the end of the globalization era is a question which we need to think about. So, this is what the article talks about. Remember that the democratic choices have come down. The social democracy is given away for the market principles. The real wages did not improve, but inflation and the cost of the basic needs have improved, which finally resulted in inequalities. So these all have developed a new mindset again as the order and the system that is existing. Now with regard to the black money, we have discussed enough, and most of the points are repeated. There are no special points in these articles. Now, with regard to the Hindu editorial, I have discussed this on the other website, that is Insights on India. Now, let us make a small discussion. One is Naxalism. There has to be a two-pronged strategy against the Naxalism. We shall not see it as a law and order problem. And the second thing is, the Naxal movement then and now is very much different. Then it was purely ideological, and now it is mostly militarized. Then it has intelligentsia support. Now it purely runs on the support of tribal people who are being displaced because of the process of development. So then ideological it wanted to change the state power for the benefit of all. Now there is a sense of extortion that is existing in the Naxal movement. But however, the clear class divide is being exploited by the Naxals in the present India, especially among the tribals. And then with regard to the workers, especially the industrial workers, still there are sympathetic population to the Naxalism. So it means development and addressing the concerns of these people will hit the Naxals bad, and law and order situation will thereby improve. And the next is, if you see, the Naxals occupy the central India, which is very strategic for this country. So, and mineral wealth is also stationed over there, which is essential for industrial development. So, how India handles this situation, and concluding that the Naxals lost the power because of the police might, it shall not be an easy conclusion. And already Marrakesh Treaty I have discussed in Hindu. Theresa May's visit to India. And India-UK relations, if you observe, UK is the third largest investor in India. Sorry, India is the third largest investor in UK. And Miss May, Theresa May chose to visit India as the first country after the Europe. And the major bone of contention between these two countries is one, immigration. It has been sarcastically said that UK wants Indian money but not Indian people. And the second thing is the Theresa May, we asked her for a social security pact, which was also not addressed. So in this context, the divide is too big. Then let us see how the things move forward once the Brexit is concluded. So these are the articles for today. Thank you very much and all the best.